y bienvenidos. Welcome to Molé Mama Cooking with Love. We drive connection, unity, acceptance, and love across all cultures and generations. Want to be very clear that all are welcome here, and we are delighted and grateful to have you listening. You're about to join us for our weekly adventure, where we chat with entrepreneurs, chefs, foodies, artists, and nutritionists who are helping us to connect and learn. We'd love for you to visit our YouTube channel where you can learn to make delicious guacamole, chimichangas, molcajetes de queso y chorizo fundido, crunchy tacos, enchiladas, flour tortillas, and so much more. Please private message us if you need any help. We'd love to help you make these recipes successful. And please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you, guests that we should be talking about, topics that we should be covering, just about anything. And for Mother Teresa, spread love everywhere you go and let no one ever leave you without being happier. So that is the goal of every show. So that we hope tonight that it will be the same, that you leave us a little bit happier, a little bit more informed, and probably very inspired because of who our guest is. She'll be with us in just a moment, but before that, I want to tell you a little bit about Tamara Runa from BeRuna Living Seeds. So I had never heard of Living Seeds before, but I was lucky enough to come across her products at a local San Diego farmer's market. And she had these very pretty bottles, and I walked up to them because I love spices, and I'm always looking for new spices. And I fell in love with something that she calls a cinnamon spice sweet seed, I guess is what it's called. She's going to tell us all about that. But I'm addicted now, and I actually used my last little bit this morning in my coffee. So it's kind of timely that I'm speaking to her. But she has created a whole line of living seeds. And from my understanding, they're superfoods. They're very healthy for us. And we are going to learn all about them. They are organic, gluten-free, and non-GMO, vegan, paleo, and mostly raw. And I can tell you that they are delicious. So with that, welcome, Tamara.
Hi, Diana. Thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you with us. So I'd love for you to give us a little bit more information that I was able to share, as you are the expert on the living seeds. If you could tell our listeners a little bit about your products, that would be great.
Yes, I'd be happy to. So my product is a blend of 9 organic seeds, superfoods, mineral salt, spices, and so much love. And the seeds, all the seeds that I can sprout, I do, which is really a form of activating the dormant seed, soak it, and then I dehydrate them at 115 degrees or below, which allows the seed to stay living. It doesn't kill the enzyme. So I think that's what you're referring to as living seeds. But the product, my company name is BeRuna, and I think you're going to ask me a few things about that, but potentially later. And my product is a product called Seed Salt and Seed Sweet. The seed salts are Black Truffle, garlic cayenne, and turmeric. Every one of my products have the same base of 9 organic seeds, superfoods like maca, hemp, chia. I add nutritional yeast, pumpkin, sesame, sunflower. The salts have mineral salts with 84 trace minerals, which actually have some amazing benefits for the body. And then the seed sweets, there are 3 flavors: cinnamon spice, of which you mentioned, berry vanilla, and coconut cacao. They also have the same 9 organic seeds, but then I veer off a little and use an organic coconut palm sugar and other super fruits like maki berry, cacao, lucuma, mangosteen. These are different fruits out of the Amazon that are really intense in nutrition. Camu berry has just tremendous more vitamin C than an orange. So they're just designed to be a super delicious, super nutritious way to season and salt or sweeten your food.
So how did you come up with this concept of living seeds? Where did this come from?
I would say it's born out of a passion for food, number one, as being just such an amazing way to connect people, to nourish our bodies. And I've just all my life had a passion for not only food, but nutrition. How could we use food more like medicine, just a little bit more mindfully in our day-to-day diet? And so how it really came about, I was making morning smoothies, which many, many of us do, and trying to get a lot of those basic ingredients that are in the product, like maca, which is a root out of Peru that's very beneficial for hormone balance, energy, endurance, and it comes in a powder form. Anyway, maca and chia and flax and all these beautiful things I was putting in my smoothie, almost to the point that it wasn't very tasty anymore. And I'm like, I just really believe that, we don't have to suffer to be healthy, but beyond the morning time, when could all of us get more superfoods into our diet? And so then I thought about a quote I had heard from Steve Jobs years and years ago, and he said, "Find the missing, don't complicate life, simplify it." And it struck me at that moment that maybe I could take the habit of seasoning and salting our food and turn it into a superfood experience, not having people take an extra step in their life, but just turn the habit of seasoning, salting from salt and black pepper to this beautiful blend of sprouted seeds, superfoods, spices, all organic, and actually have it be nutritious and delicious. And so that's really how it was born. I just thought there was a missing that I could fill by creating this product.
That is so interesting and inspiring. So I have tried also, in addition to the cinnamon spice, I have the Black Truffle. And that is outstanding. I've put it on popcorn. I've put it in pasta. It is absolutely delicious. And it almost feels like I'm not being healthy because it's so good. It's like, but I know it's so delicious. And
well, that's our signature. It became not on purpose, but it was actually the very first one I made. I actually made the Black Truffle and the garlic Cayenne tomato at the same time. And they just kind of flowed through me. People say things like that, but literally I'd never formulated a recipe myself. And I just went to work and it literally just kind of came together really beautiful. But the Black Truffle, it is not better than any other, but it is so beloved. It really leads the pack. And then we added the turmeric a little later, and the next year I added all the seed sweets, the cinnamon spice, which you love so much, and it's super user-friendly, and then the berry vanilla, which is a blend of maqui berry, acai berry, camu berry, hibiscus, beetroot, turns a yogurt just this bright purple or whatever. And then our third one is the coconut cacao. So those came the next year.
Well, I've had the turmeric as well. I've been using that. So when I bought them, I did one of your gift sets. So could you tell our listeners how they can find your products and purchase them?
Okay. Oh, thank you. So we're at local San Diego farmers markets for one. I don't know how much of your audience is actually local that we're talking to, but if they are, we're at 5 different farmers markets in San Diego. Little Italy on Saturday from 8 to 2, Vista every Saturday from 8 to 12, and on Sunday we are at Hillcrest from 9 to 2, Lucadia from 10 to 2, and Rancho Santa Fe from 9:30 to 2. In addition, we're at lifestyle type stores like juice bars. We're at O-Juice and Encinitas. We're at Peace Pies in Lucadia and on OB. And then we have an online store as well if anybody's not in the San Diego area.
Okay, so that's great. So people can actually go to your website and also order, because I know that we have listeners listening from all over. So that's great that there's
and I'm happy to give that web address. I'm happy to share.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so our online store is www.b as in boy, e as in Edward, hyphen or dash Runa, RUNA.com. So b-runa.com. And there we have all the flavors. We also have a beautiful organic heirloom popping corn, simply because all of our flavors go so amazing on popcorn. I introduced that this year. I searched the nation for a beautiful old world heirloom, lovely, small, almost holeless popcorn. Something maybe we could do too, Diane, is make a coupon code for your followers. I mean, we could kind of just on the fly, I could make one up and then I'd have to put it together, but that might be a nice thing to do for your listeners.
Oh, that would be fantastic. So we can talk about that later and maybe get it up on the website and stuff. But we are going to take a very short break. And when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Tamara Runa from BeRuna Living Seeds so we can learn more about her amazing products. Hello, everyone. We're back. I'm here with Tamara Runa from BeRuna Living Foods, and we have been talking about her amazing seed spices that she has created and developed, and I have been fortunate enough to try several of them because before the break, we were talking about how you can find them. You can find them on her website at if you just search for BeRuna Living Foods. You can also find her on Instagram, BeRuna Living Foods, and also on Facebook with the same name. So she's pretty easy to find. And if you find her in person, like I did at a local farmer's market in San Diego, you actually get to taste test all of her products, which is kind of fun. So I tasted them all and I walked away with a little box set of 3 of them. And like I was talking earlier in the show, the cinnamon spice I'm completely addicted to. And I love the Black Truffle that I also got and the Tumeric. But I wanted to talk to you more. We were talking during the first half, Tamara, about you had this great idea. You were making smoothies that maybe you should make seasoning your smoothie more tasty, and maybe you could create a product around that. So you had this idea. So how did you go from having an idea to actually then creating these amazing spices?
Well, and I think what you're asking to making spices and then becoming a business.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that is an amazing leap. And I don't even think it's a leap. I think it's more just, I knew about the farmer's market scene. I had done a little bit of something with another thing with pasture-raised eggs several years ago. So I kind of knew about the vibrancy in the community of farmers markets, and it's a wonderful way to introduce a product to the world. And so once I made this and it was super tasty and nutritious, it's a beautiful equalized place to, if you can get into, a market to share your gifts with the world. And one thing led to another. I started out one Saturday at Rancho San Diego, Cuyamaca College, with my product, and just literally showed up with the approval of the market manager and sold $180. And I'm like, woo-hoo, I think I must be in business. Anyway, never having done that. And then it has literally been, it's not easy all the time. It's one thing to be a creative and somebody who comfortably knows what to do with food. And then and then there's the business of business, of which I'm really not that great at. It strains my soul in many ways, but it's a great journey as well. So it wasn't really a leap, it's a journey, and it's a walk, and you just kind of learn as you go and grow as you grow. I kept getting great feedback about my product, so I knew that was something. It was a great idea, and it was well received. And then I say it's really been just staying very focused, you just doing the same thing over and over and building a base of followers and a base of awareness. And like you said, I actually sprinkle it in people's hands in the farmer's market. I don't really, really sell it. You experience it. You love it. I do know how to share it powerfully and what to say, what it is, what it isn't, and why I think you need it. And then you taste it, and it's just continued to grow. I do fill orders all over the nation every day. I don't even know how that happened, and that's the truth. I think from farmers markets, people visiting from out of town, but it's just been, and then they go tell people and reorder from New York, Florida, Hawaii, Washington, D.C. It's been a really fascinating journey of, actually, I think all business on some level is a journey of self-exploration.
I would definitely agree with that. And I think for me, absolutely. And I love to cook, and I really love to use different spices. And one of the things that I have really been looking for in the last several years of my life after a pretty serious illness is that I really try to find real products. And that is not always easy, especially when, you're looking at different spices and there's a lot of things have additives in them. And I think that that's why I was completely drawn to your products, was that they are real products, first of all. And then there's so much thought that you've put into as far as how to make them healthy for us as well as, delicious. And, one of the things that we haven't chatted about is the name. Runa. I read some really wonderful things on your website about the name. But can you share that with our listeners as well?
Oh, I'd be happy to. So Runa is kind of a universal word, and I came across it first from Ecuador. The word Runa means human fully alive. In Scandinavian, that Runa is a little girl's name, and it means gently flowing, mighty strength, secret lore. And in Japanese, it means love and affection. And I literally fell in love with the word. And I said, that's an amazing human fully alive. How could I help people to live more fully alive? So anyway, I named my company BeRuna, Be Human Fully Alive. And I think food is such a beautiful way. It's kind of like what goes in is who we become. We're nourishing our vibration, really. And so food that's made with love, like you talk about, food that has a high vibration, actually helps us to live more fully alive. And so it's been kind of an overarching mission. How can I help people do that more? And sometimes just literally starting with how we create our food. Like if we really imbue it with love and presence, it tastes like it. And if we don't like working with food or we don't like that process, it tastes like it. And so I think all of us can enter that experience with food if we could just recognize our energy really is real and it can flavor our life, let alone our food.
I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. And so I think it's just so interesting that the farmers market has a lot of different people there, and I was drawn and found you and had never heard of you. And so I immediately am drawn to somebody who is making small batches with lots of love in it. So I remember,
I think
it was very interesting how I even found you. And like I said, I've fallen in love with your products. And the Black Truffle, you were talking about your popcorn too, this popcorn that you found. And I've used that on popcorn and pasta. And it's just so easy because normally what I'm doing when I'm making pasta or I'm making different dishes or maybe a rice dish or even that I love to do cauliflower with turmeric is I'm looking in my spice rack and going, oh, what can I add? The turmeric, of course, is going there, but what else is going to go? And what your product has done for me is that I don't have to think about like, oh, should I get the garlic? I'm just using your product and it's fantastic with nothing else. So it's simple. Like
That's amazing. That's a high compliment. And yeah, that's amazing. And you're getting that flavor and so much more.
Yeah. So you guys definitely check out her website and you should go and read her testimonials. They are really inspiring from other people who have tried her products like myself. And then I definitely suggest you following her Instagram feed because it's really pretty. So you can be inspired there as well. She has a lovely shot of some great looking tomatoes right now that I'm like, oh, I want some fresh tomatoes. I can't wait for the full warm. So I have to ask you this too, because you sound like you know a lot of information about nutrition. So were you a chef? Were you a scientist? How did your journey to wellness begin?
I'm not like a credentialed chef. I just have loved, I am a chef, really. I mean, and I love food. And so, but I love wellness also. I love health and the human body. And so I'm probably a self-made excellent chef and self-taught nutritionist. And I just have a passion for learning. And I've continued to just study food and nutrition and well-being, and also various food trends. Like you were mentioning, like pure food, there's such a movement now about clean food, just like what's in our food, what isn't. And it's going all the way up to all the various, Whole30, Paleo, and even like the raw food movement. I've touched all of them. I'm not specifically any of them, but I understand the concepts, the superfoods, what they're about. So I think it's just I have a super curious mind and I love being a student of life. And I'm happy to dig in and study and learn. And then this really came from that passion.
That is fantastic. I also saw on your website that you do have, like there's a map so people can check their own areas to see if there's stores in their areas that actually carry your products, which is really
we're not in a lot of areas outside of San Diego. We are at Erewhon in LA. There's about 4 or 5 Erewhon stores. They're a very high-end health food store. We are in 4 of the 5 right now. And but one of the best ways really is to order it online, then unless you live local. There's a few perks if you come to the farmer's market of pricing, and we have a locals reward card and a few things like that. But you can always find us online.
Okay. And can you give us, what are some of the foods that you use your spices on when you're cooking?
Okay. Well, I'd be happy to do that. So I mentioned Black Truffle is really it's signature. It's not the original. It's not even the best, but it's one of the most loved. And I say that goes on absolutely everything. But some very specific, extra special things is baked potato, vegetables, rice, proteins, pasta, pizza, salads, eggs, grains, popcorn. It's amazing on all of those. The garlic cayenne I love on avocado toast. Guacamole, fish tacos, green salad, rice, real quick little Spanish rice. And it's got just a tiny kick out of your hand when you taste it that way, but it's just super flavorful on food. And it's great on popcorn. It's like a natural popcorn. And then the turmeric I love on quinoa, lentils, rice, chicken, roasted cauliflower, sauteed vegetables, eggs, even plain yogurt for kind of a little something for maybe like curried food or even crudités like vegetables. You can dip it in that with the turmeric on yogurt if you're watching your calories or whatever. And then the cinnamon onto the seed sweets, the cinnamon spice, oatmeal, fruit toast, yogurt, cereal, butternut squash, sweet potatoes, popcorn, delicious. Berry vanilla on yogurt, smoothies. All of the sweet ones are great in smoothies or even drinks, coffee, hot chocolate. Berry vanilla is great in oatmeal, ice cream, the coconut cacao, oatmeal, nut butters, bananas, smoothies, ice cream on coffee, on lattes. Those are some of my favorite things.
All sound yummy and delicious. Thank you for sharing. And the cinnamon spice, I used my coffee. Now that I'm out of it.
Yeah, it's great.
I loved it in my coffee. It's so good.
I'm so happy.
So delicious. So what have been some of the joys of owning your own business? What's been the most rewarding for you, Tamara?
I would say the most rewarding of owning my own business, there's a sense of satisfaction and pride of creating something, but the testimonials and feedback that I get personally of the difference that this product has made in people's lives is probably the greatest joy. I mean, it's just so amazing when people come to the farmer's market and they're just like, Tamara, this changed my life. This is amazing. You know, and a lot of times people have health issues, and this has been beneficial for their diet or added, food or flavor or nutrition where they needed it. Definitely not the daily ration, but it's exponential. You just, if you're always looking higher vibe foods, it helps. And the joys of business, really taking a business is like giving birth to a baby in many ways. And from infancy, first you birth it and just the challenge of that, and then to watch it grow and to create something from nothing, that's extremely joyful.
That's outstanding. Now, what are some of the challenges that you face? Because I know it's been for me too with Molé Mama. It's been so fun, but there's definitely been some challenges too in doing it.
I think, there's definitely challenge. I think the challenge of being a business owner, especially a startup company and a smaller company like I am, is I'm not so much startup, but I'm definitely small still and may stay somewhat like, I don't know where I'm headed, but one of the challenges is that you wear so many hats. You're it. Everything from procuring the raw ingredients to being in the commercial kitchen to being on the street selling it to the bookwork to the money to the QuickBooks. It's got its challenges, and some of that isn't really my strong suit. And so it's pushing, against my own natural talent sometimes. That's the challenges of business.
I would absolutely agree. I face the same thing because there's definitely things that I'm stronger at and other things I'm like, oh no, I don't want to have to do that. Oh, but I have to. There's nobody else to do that for me right now. So, okay. So definitely stretches.
And when you're smaller, you can't hire everything out. There's not the money to just let everybody do what they do best. So you do a lot of things that are not necessarily as easy or natural.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Tamara, and she is here from BeRuna Living Foods. Hello, we're back. This is Diana and Molé Mama, and we're talking with Tamara from BeRuna Living Foods, and we have been talking about her amazing seed spices and seasonings, or sweet and spicy. And she has been telling us all about having a business and the challenges of having a business. And I was hoping that she could share some advice to anyone listening that might be interested in having a business or starting their own journey on some adventure that they're passionate about. So can you share what your thoughts are about that, Tamara?
Oh, I'd love to share that. So I would say that if you have a dream, if you have a spark of an idea, if you have a vision, however big or small, that there is so much, especially as women, to be gained by pursuing a better understanding of putting ourselves out into the world, whether it's with a product or cooking or a skill or a talent, and that there's that it's really such an empowering place as women in particular to get more comfortable around business and money and our capacity to create that it's really a beautiful avenue to have more personal growth and development. And sometimes when we listen to podcasts or people that have a business, we think that they are something that we're not. And what I know is there's nothing special about me going on here, but a very hard work ethic, a passion, like I already mentioned, about food. I did have a great idea, but I'm just like you and everybody else, and that it's really just a matter of getting out there, putting one tiny teensy foot in the water and going for your own dream. And that's just really the recommend. I think it's just such a great thing for people to do.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tamara, because I absolutely agree with you. I think it's available to anyone, and I think it's oftentimes we are the ones that hold ourselves back the most. And I think we are so much more capable than we know. And I know that for myself, the way Molé Mama came around is that for almost 12 years, I had this idea. And I'm still working for a very large company, but I pitched it twice to really large internet companies that I worked for, and they both said, absolutely not, it will never work. And finally, when my mom died a few years ago, I was like, you know what, it's time, I'm just going to do it on my own. And I think about that, and I know for my own self, it all happened when it was supposed to happen, but so much of me not starting this sooner was because of my own fear.
Yes, for all of us.
And I think what you're saying about finding something that you're passionate about, and it's just doing, like I think you mentioned before, it's those steps that we take every single day. And you don't necessarily, I know for myself, I don't know if you feel this way, but there are lots and lots of days and even months where I feel like I'm making no progress at all. And then something happens. And, okay, yes, actually I have made some progress.
That's the part, absolutely. That's the part where I feel like it's the best personal growth and development platform. Because truly you're super present to like, what am I doing with my business? Or am I moving forward? It's a great way to challenge our own capacity and see ourselves show up more fully.
I absolutely agree with you. And for me, because of what I'm doing, I have met so many amazing people like yourself, and I've had so many different guests on the show, and just through my business and going to now, I go to so many different foods events. I'm having so much fun. It's like I never knew that I could actually have this much fun with the business. So
I get that. The people you meet, the camaraderie, the things you learn, it does give you just such a bigger and fuller potential life. And it opens doors. It's maybe not even the thing that any of us will be doing forever, but one thing leads to another when we start rolling the ball in our own life, that different doors open also. So I think it's just to reach in our life, to dream, big dreams, little dreams, whatever, and then move toward them, because every one of us have a gift to bring. So what is our gift? What could we share? What are we doing here?
I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. Because when I started Molé Mama, I thought it would be a YouTube channel and I would be in food. And never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd have a radio show and a podcast. So here I am.
Wow. That's amazing.
I'm sure it'll evolve some other way. But it has been such a great experience. And I really appreciate you sharing that with our listeners, because I also think that there's a really big need and a huge opportunity for small businesses. I think, there's going to be continuous growth in that area. And I think about just the technology that's available to all of us that are small businesses versus 10 years ago. It is so much easier to do so many different types of things because of the technology that's available. So it's much simpler. But, I know that we're almost out of time, and I want to make sure that I share with our listeners again. We can find your products on your website. So it's BeRuna Living Foods, and it's BeRuna. Please follow Tamara with the same name, BeRuna Living Foods, on Instagram. You will definitely be inspired. And I just wanted to thank you for being with us here today. And just do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Oh, it's been a great pleasure to be with you. Thank you, Diana, for inviting me. And I would just encourage everybody to hear this conversation as a piece of themselves in action. Whether it's food or whether it's an art or a craft or an inspirational talent or whatever, that I just encourage people to find that thing in their life that would put them on a path to more exploration, more joy, more growth, more love in their life.
So when that moment in time, because I think that's so beautiful what you just said, that moment in time when you were making that smoothie and had this great idea, did you make a statement out loud saying, I'm just going to do this myself? What happened?
Let's see. I think I shared I can barely remember quite how that happened, to tell you the truth, but I think I shared what I made with some friends and family, and of course got a response, a very positive response. And then I just said, it's like that quote I mentioned of Steve Jobs, find a missing, don't complicate life, simplify it. Don't add more to an already complicated life or complex world. But what could we do that would, I did want to share it with the world. I did want, because I thought it would be beneficial.
And that's beautiful. And I wanted to go back to that because I think that that's really important when you do have a passion or an idea about a business, that once you put it out there and you share it with other people, or you yourself decide that, and then you start sharing, it kind of takes a life of its own.
It can. Mm-hmm.
It does. So I think that's for our listeners, you've been so encouraging to them. If you are thinking, it's like, what is that first step? What is that first thing? And I listen to a lot of Oprah's podcasts, and she always talks about that. What is that next one thing?
Mm-hmm.
So
everybody has one next thing that they could do.
Absolutely, to move them towards their dreams and their passion. I absolutely agree with you. So we are out of time. Thank you so much for being here, Tamara.
It's my honor and privilege. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome, and continued success to you. Thank you for joining us. And I will be getting some more of your cinnamon spice soon because I can't live without it now.
Thank you. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for having me on this conversation. It was a delight to share with everybody.
Right. I want to thank our listeners for joining us tonight. Remember to add the most important ingredient to every recipe you make, your love. And as my mama always said to me as we said our goodbyes, may God bless you. Many thanks to Ade, our producer. Thank you for tuning in to Molé Mama Cooking with Love.